Are these
Sorry, there was some question there. What was that?
are these like indicators that you use on a daily basis to like
Yeah,
predict?
so yeah, I use on a daily basis I'll use multiple indicators. I mean, let me show what I actually use. There are so many things, but if I start with that, right, it is going to definitely overwhelm you guys. So I have so many study sets that I always use and predict a stock on a daily basis. So I mean, there could be multiple reasons why I would be doing that. So, for example, if you see this one, right, let me load this. So this is how it's going to be. So if I'm going to explain all of this, you're not going to understand at a one shot, right? So that's why what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to cover each and every small aspect on every session, and so that you get familiar with that study first, and then you go and learn the new things and stuff like that, right? So that's why the intention of this initiative is not to complete or do everything on a single day. So we are going to do this every Tuesday at 8 CST, and this is going to continue. And in each session, we are going to cover a new topic, and we are going to make you guys a better trader. So that's the idea of this initiative. So, and also what we'll be doing is we'll be getting multiple analysts and the other analysts that work with me, so that they also share their view, and we can give you multiple point of views on how we trade and how we use the technical indicators, right? So that's the idea. So I mean, keep engaged with us. So with the interest of time, right? So we want to do what we have planned for the day. So I'll come back to your question after the session is over, and we can discuss further. Okay.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, the reason why I'm talking about 50 moving averages, especially when you are seeing the entire outlook of the market, right? It gives you a very good overall view. So that's why I wanted to start with that, so that you understand it. Okay. Okay. So let me go ahead and add exponential. Right. So we were at 50. Okay. So if you look at it, so this is the beauty of 50 exponential moving average, right? It basically clearly tells you the trend of the stock. So you can clearly understand whether the stock is bearish or bullish. Simple. So if you look at this 50 EMA, right? So let me make this a 5-year. So see here. So PayPal has been bullish the entire 2020, right? So 2019 and 2020, right? If you look at it, it broke above that 50 EMA and it kept going. So it tested this 50 EMA multiple times, but most of the times it was up, and it made highs only during when it was above 50 EMA. And if you clearly look at it, 50 EMA acted as both resistance and support on multiple events. Okay, so now can you guys tell me whether PayPal is bullish or bearish? Would you be long on PayPal based on what you see here?
Right now, it looks bearish.
Yeah, so you would never go long unless you break this level and it tests, right? So that is what the beauty of 50 EMA is. If you look at here, right? Here it tried to test multiple times on a daily chart. So let's say it started at 10:30, right? And it went until a month or maybe like 20 days to go bullish, right? So this period we call it as consolidation, right? So 50 EMA clearly gives a clear picture to you what is happening on any stock or any index, right? So that's why I would ask you to like whenever you, I mean, you might be part of many groups or many channels where you might be given an indicator saying that, hey, I'm buying this stock or I'm buying this option. So what you can do is you can always validate that signal or that any the ticker that you get from an analyst or from any group, right? To see whether really it's going to be bullish. Do I need to add the stock or not? So this is one of the key indicators that can help you on multiple timeline basis, right? So for example, on a daily, let's say if you want to really, you're thinking of buying PayPal, okay? So when you're thinking of buying PayPal, somebody gave a signal here. So if somebody gives a signal, what I would do is I will enable this 50 EMA and I'll see whether I need to buy this or not. So if it is really somewhere here, I'll use that signal and I'll probably be buying. But my confirmation actually comes after the next candlestick where I see it followed the bullish trend, right? So this is my first breakout, and here it is giving me a confirmation that it is going to go up. So that's how I'm going to trade by looking at 50 EMA. Okay. So one thing that I would ask you to also follow along with 50 EMA is whenever you are looking at it, right? It is very key that you analyze your chart based on your timeline. Let's say for long term, maybe yes. So this 50 EMA looks bearish for me at this level. But what if you want to trade in short term using the 50 EMA? Then what you will do? Reduce your timeline, okay? Go to an hourly timeline, okay? Or let's say if you're doing like a small swing, you're buying today and selling tomorrow. So what you can do is you can use the same indicator by changing the timeline to hourly time frame setup and see. See, for example, you got a signal, hey, buy PayPal short swing. So what does that mean? So you go enable this 50 EMA and check whether the indicator is showing you a buy signal or not. So let's say if I give a signal somewhere here, okay, you wouldn't believe me because it is in the downtrend and there is no confirmation here. So enable this 50 EMA and wait for 2 hours and see if that signal is valid or not. And when it is about to break and if it is holding above this indicator, right, you can go ahead and buy. So you would have bought somewhere around here where you got a confirmation. So you tested with this candle, it tried to come back and it is still holding the 50 EMA here. And then here again, it started under 50 EMA and it went up. And when you got the confirmation where it made a new higher high about this, right? You can safely assume that the stock is going to go up and you can buy. So if you had bought this around this levels, right? See, this level is around 150 and it made close to 6 points. So if you are purchasing an option by taking this as a confirmation, you would have made a huge money, right? Like it would have been at least a 200% position. So that's how it comes handy for simple analysis, and it is always a strong indicator for me whenever I'm trading. So try to use it on your daily charts and you'll definitely see advantages of using this. So how can you trade better with this 50 EMA? So if you know little bit of charting, right? Let me show you one other technique, like how you can take another confirmation using 50 EMA. Okay, so I'll go to the daily chart. Okay, so I'll be interested in this breakout area, right? So I wanted to know what had happened here. Okay, so let's say it broke here, okay, and then it tried to go up. Viper, can you stop doing that? Okay, so let's go here. Okay. So this is all you have to do. Okay. So it is basically trying to break out. Okay. But you don't know whether it is really breaking out or going down. So what I have done is I have drawn a trend line on higher lows. Okay. When I say higher lows, it is not at the bottom, right? So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do a trend line on higher lows, and I'm using this as my secondary confirmation to see whether it is holding this level or not. Okay, so what happened is it broke out, okay, and it went here, and I would have made a trade here, and I would have exited here, and now I'm thinking whether I can go for another trade or not on this candlestick. Okay, so I have put a trend line here, and I'm seeing whether it will hold or not. So if you see here, it tried to hold here and it went up, but based on this candle, this is my first breakout, right? I told you earlier. If I had purchased here, I would have lost a huge money, right? So extend this trend line. Let me do that to get a confirmation, right? To see if it is breaking down or not. So if you see, it is following this trend line and it is breaking here. So, and it is below the 50 EMA, right? So if it is below 50 EMA, you can always take an extra confirmation with the trend line and see whether it is going to go down or it's going to go up. So here it still held the trend line. It tried to go up, but it did not break the 50 EMA. So wait, and it is an inside candle. It tried to go up, but it could not engulf this candle, and the stock went down. Okay. So this is one way of using 50 EMA with trend lines. So, and if you are trying to draw a trend line on a bullish side, right? So it broke here. Okay. So you're trying to do a trend line above this. See, it broke here, and you might thinking, okay, now it's going to go up. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw a trend line like this with the previous high, and you can always wait whether it breaks or not. So if it breaks, well and good, it's a bullish. But if it is not breaking and if it is not making a new higher high, then it is bearish. So it's going to go down, and you can take a double confirmation with the 50 EM. All right, does that make sense? So like this, there are multiple moving averages. Like you can have a 34 period or a 21 period or a 9 period. So on a 9 period, we can always see like whether the reversal happened or not. On a 21 period, we can confirm whether we can enter option positions on the bullish side, so or a bearish side. So there are so many things that each and every EMA signifies. We can talk about this in the next session. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to teach you about another study called RSI. Okay? So anyone here understands what an RSI is? Okay, so an RSI is a relative strength index, right? So what it basically says is, it basically says how the stock is trending with respect to buy and sell. Okay, so when I say that, by looking at RSI, you can say like how much of the stock is either overbought or oversold. Okay, so whenever a stock goes above the 70 level, right, we call it as overbought. Okay, and whenever it goes below 30, we call it as oversold. So the difference is, when I say overbought, the stock has been held by multiple people. Like you would have heard about if you would have heard in the last session where Sri has covered the number of stocks that are available and all that, right? So based on that counts, right? If you go and check like how many stocks are there and all that, so you can basically decide using RSI whether the stocks have been overbought or oversold. Okay, if you look at it, right, typically these two indicators will tell you whether it is the right time to sell or not. Okay, But what
What
happens is
software? What software are you using to look at this on?
this is a think or swim platform, but it will be same. So the indicators that I talk about, or whatever the moving averages I talk about, all of these will be there on other portals like eTrade or
Would you
Webull.
recommend like TradingView as well?
Yeah, TradingView is pretty good, but so when I started trading, there was no TradingView. So I was part of this Thinkorswim from very long time,
Hmm.
and I had my scripts and everything in Thinkorswim. So I got used to Thinkorswim, but TradingView is much more robust and a newer platform, and it's very flexible because it's web based, and even the indicators are very clean there. But I basically got used to Thinkorswim, but the indicators and the terminologies that I use are still the same.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So if you look at it, right? So RSI clearly tells whether you are in the overbought zone or whether you are in a oversold zone. So if you look at it, right? So here it is almost like 19 or 18 something, right? 19.4 or something. So which means 30 itself is a oversold area. But if it went to 19, it means that the stock is almost low and not most of the people are holding it. If it is a good fundamental stock, right? I mean, it's always good to see or understand why that stock is going to this oversold area. And if you think that this stock is going to go up, this is a good place to add. Okay, but if you are a swing trader, like you trade for a short term, okay, I always recommend to put a line on 50 to see which trend it is taking. So you can put a line at 50 and you can safely assume the trend along with your 50 EMA and your candlesticks pattern and also this 50 line in RSI, right? So if you look at it, right? I mean, before I have put this line, do you understand the trend clearly? Like whether it is a bearish trend or bullish trend? No. But if you really put a line at 50, not everybody or any other portals would say this, but this is something that I learned with my experience. So if you put a line at 50, you can always say whether it is on the uptrend or downtrend. So look at here, for example. So here, the 50 EMA didn't give you a confirmation for a swing trade, right? So, but the stock is moving up. How you can trade for 2 or 3 days, like a swing for 2 or 3 days? Guys, can you mute please?
That is good. That is good. I can.
Guys, can you mute?
It's Mooney B.
Okay, thank you. So if you have put this line, right, it clearly tells you whether it's a bullish or bearish. So if I hadn't put this line, right, I wouldn't have understood. Like I would have thought at this level, let's say, see, I would have thought, okay, it's an uptrend, and yeah, I'm going to buy this here. So if I had bought that there, the next day I would have been in soup, right? So now it clearly says whether it's an uptrend or downtrend. Clearly here, see, this one is in fact actually acting as a support line for me. So it comes down, it goes up, it comes down, it goes up. So if I had played a swing here, I would have made good profits in this move, right? So where are we here? So we are around 106 and it is 121. So it's around like 15 points and the 10% on a stock and on options, it would be more than that, right? So that's how we should basically read RSI. But if you are in extreme situations, let's say if you are thinking that stock is already overbought, I would ask you to hold your trades if you're swinging. But if you are on a long-term investment or if you're on a long-term short, right, you can always use this top level or completely bottom level levels to buy or sell. Okay, So this is how RSI works, and let me bring one other indicator called MACD. So MACD basically consists of three things. So one is a MACD line, which is a line that is a difference between an indicator 26 and 12. So basically, you will you will subtract 12 EMA with 20. You will subtract 12 EMA from 26 EMA, and there is one other line called signal line. So if you look at it, look here, right? So the blue line, let me show you the study. Okay, so yeah, so average, yeah. So difference zero line, yeah. So the blue line is the MACD line and yellow line is the signal line. Okay, so what happens is MACD basically confirms whether you are in an uptrend or downtrend when you play along with RSI. MACD cannot be used as a standalone indicator, same as RSI. So RSI also cannot be used as a standalone indicator. So whenever you're trying to see a MACD line, right, always look for convergence and divergence, right? So when I say that, if a MACD line is going above the signal, then it is called a bullish indicator. If a MACD line is going below the signal line, it is called a bearish indicator. So if you see, right, in any given point, you will have that clearly defined. Let's say if you go here, right? So three checks. One, you check your 50 EMA, then you check the 50 line on the RSI, and the third one, MACD. If you have all this checked and if you get a green indicator on the MACD histogram, right, it means that you have a bullish trend. Okay, and if you see, MACD did not diverge anywhere and it was always above the signal line. So the stock moved always up with respect to this. So to take the confirmation, right, you can always go to a 4-hour chart or a lower chart and you can take a confirmation. For example, let's look at this move here, right? So if you look at this move, right, the MACD, so here you see that stock is moving here, and you take a confirmation on your RSI and you take a confirmation on your MACD, it printed green, and you just enter the trade and you go here, and once you try to reach this level, right, here or here, you see at this level the RSI reached overbought, so they're going to dump, right? If you had taken this indicator and if you have thought, okay, so now RSI is showing me an overbought zone, and if you had sold, I mean, it might have gone a little higher, but it never made new highs. So it went lower highs, but it never made higher highs. So it went there and then it tested here and then it went down. Okay, so this is how these three indicators are very critical, at least for the basic analysis of technical trading. So I believe like what are the session that I shared here has helped you guys at least to analyze a stock or a position or an index based on moving average and RSI and MACD. So that's the charting that I thought I'll cover today, and I'll open up questions now, and you can take questions one by one. And post that, I'll try to cover the other two topics that are supposed to be covered for today: how to use a watch list and how you can do a pre-market analysis. But before that, I can take questions on this basic charting session. Okay, so go ahead, guys, if you have any questions.
Hey, Chanu. This is Don. So thanks for taking time out and presenting this session today. So my question is here, like as you mentioned, when we do intraday, so what would you recommend? Making the time frame, like for example, day, hourly, or how do you go?
So basically, right, intraday will have multiple things. So if you are a quick scalper or something like that, you can go with 5 and 15. And if you're like trying to do a trade where you want to have some kind of a window, right? Try to do like 1 hour or 2 hour, or start with 30 minutes and go until like 1 hour or 2 hours. So not more than that. So if you're doing the first half of the market hours, we can go probably until like 2 hours. But if you're trying to do the later half, and if you're trying to do intraday, probably between like 30 minutes to 1 hour.
Yeah. Also, continuation to that question, like RSI, where you touch upon. So, how do we get confirmation, like overbought and oversold?
Yeah.
You
So on
mentioned, but
RSI,
I didn't quite understand what exactly we. And
okay.
is there any numbers like 50, 20, 10, something
Right,
like that?
right. So on an RSI, right, when you go and add a study, right, by default, we call, so you have this graph going, right? Let's say if you actually go and put your cursor on your graph, you can see here where that axis is. It is at 60. Can you see this number on the left hand side? There is a box that says 60.09.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it will basically give at what level the RSI is. So as I mentioned earlier, anything above 70 is overbought. Okay. Anything below 30 is oversold. So this applies to all the time frames. Let's say if you are on a 15-minute chart, right? Just look at this. Okay. So on a 15-minute chart, today PayPal is very bullish, right? Look at this candlestick. So what basically happened? So today morning when we opened, it was already in the overbought territory, right?
Yeah.
And then it went to the 50. So I basically follow this 50 when I'm doing an intraday, because it will tell me whether it is holding this level and going up or not. So it came here, it held that level, and again it went to overbought, right? And there was a little cool down, okay, and then overbought. And post market there was a dip, and so people have unloaded it, right? So do you understand? I mean, so did I answer your question there?
Yeah. I got it actually. And one more thing, as you mentioned that 50, MA versus like some people uses 88 MA. So how significant it is between 50 and 88?
So, I mean, see, there are multiple recommendations, right? See, the difference is if I'm saying 50 EMA, I'm trying to compare last 50 sessions of the given timeline. It can be a 5 minute or 15 minute or 1 hour. So on an 88, maybe it's more safer. So let me try to draw that, and let's try to analyze, right, how it is. You said 88, right? So I would never follow 88. See, when I put 88, it in fact went down. Okay. Basically, if you see here, right, all these supports, I mean, I don't know, maybe 88 is not something that I would be following here, at least if I'm doing a stock a long position, right? So maybe on a intraday it might work, but for a longs and swings, 50 IMA is something that I always recommend.
Yeah, actually, the reason being I do futures, but I do hear time to time from people that 88 EMA is
yeah, so might be
better
88
working.
is effective for intraday, but so I mean, in fact, I do a lot of options along with stock, so I prefer to go with 34 because 34 is much more accurate than 50, but not for stocks. So since we did not go to options sessions, I did not cover that 34 EMA. I was trying to cover the 50 EMA here. So on the options, right? 34 EMA beautifully works, especially options has a tendency of expiry and losing delta, right? So 34 EMA perfectly works, and it gives a tighter signal to you.
Okay, so the same way, the way you have added that moving exponential average,
Yeah,
the length where you gave 50, and the
yeah. So
similar
you
way
can have
where we give
exactly.
34. Is that correct,
Yeah,
or is there anything
that's the
different way?
same. That's the same. So you can
Yeah.
have multiple levels in the same indicator. One, okay, so 34 is blue, right? What I can do is I can go probably here and have 50 and change my color to red, okay? So I'll have both. So 50 and 30 on my chart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll use this blue indicator for my options and red indicator for stocks. So if you see, right, actually, I mean, that if I'm using SMA and EMA, this is how my charts usually look. I mean, I don't want to scare you guys by showing
So
this, right?
complex,
Yeah,
so
so I don't
complex
want,
to
so I
read.
mean, I got used to it, and I just will see based on the color. I know, hey, so if it is green, I'm on 50. If it is on dark green, I'm on 10. So these are the things that I've been using for a while. And if I see a plain line, it is an EMA. If I see a dotted line, it is a SMA. So many things come into picture here. And on top of that, I'll have VWAPs, I'll have Bollinger Bands and everything, right? So I mean, so if I really start like this, and if I try to explain, you're not going to understand. It's going to confuse you. So that's the reason why I wanted to start with one moving average, and that should come in handy for you, right?
Yeah. One last question. So,
Sure,
if you
sure.
don't mind sharing
Mm.
Thinker's swim scripts even by any chance?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, see, if you guys are interested, I can do so. I mean, it took so many years for me to do all this. So that's why, right? So the only thing is, see, you guys might need to see. I'm not again. This is not any kind of a marketing pitch or anything like that. You guys, if you travel with me, there are so many things that we learn with each other, right? So that's the idea. So that's the idea of doing these sessions, and it keeps us connected, and you guys get to learn so many things. So feel free to reach out to me, and I'll share the studies. I can export them, or I can share the shareable link, and you can have that on your chats. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you and appreciate. That's all from my end. So I don't want to take more time, so I will allow
No
others to
problem.
speak.
Yeah,
Yep. Thank
let's go to the next one, and let's try to take if there is anybody else who wants to post any questions, or if they have any doubts on what I have covered today. Or is there, I mean, you guys can always give a feedback also, like whether this session was useful or not. So this will help us going, and make you guys a better trader, right? So that's what the intention is. So let's proceed further, and let's go to the next topics. So what I'm going to do, show now, is going to be different watch list. And this is exclusively going to be the think or swim features. So you might not be seeing the same kind of watch list, or you might not be having the same watch list. So I'm giving that disclaimer because you might be posting that question, hey, how can I get this watch list in Robinhood? So you might not be able to, but why I'm trying to share here is there are few subscribers who are part of our Discord groups, want are already transforming to think or swim, and it might help them. So that is why I am trying to show this. And if you have any questions related to that, you are free to ask. But this is going to be strictly for think or swim. Okay, so you guys can go ahead and mute yourself if you're not talking. Then we can go to the watch list, right? So there is something called market watch. Okay, so if you go to market watch, right, actually thinkorswim gives a lot of inbuilt watch list. On top of that, what you can do is you can have your scanners, which will help you to identify how you can see or identify the stocks that you're going to trade that day. Okay, so if you see, right, all these are my watch list that I prepared by myself by putting scanners. I'm going to cover scanners in the next session, but why I'm saying is this tool gives a lot of flexibility for you, and you can add have multiple watch lists, which will help you to really determine which stocks are moving and which stocks to trade and all that. So for example, let's say on a daily basis, right? I made this watch list called daily watch sectors. So what I did is basically I added all the sectors here and the future indexes, right? So NQ is for NASDAQ, ES is for SPY, YM is for Dow Jones, and XLE is basically energy sector. So I added all of this here. So every day morning when I get up, I'll first what I'll do is I'll check the mark percentage change. And in the pre-market, right, the percentage change will not work because percentage is something that will work only if it is active or if it is during the market hours. Mark percentage change shows the movement in the pre-market also. So what I do is basically the first thing that I do is I'll go to the sectors, okay, and I'll see how that sectors are doing on a daily basis, and I'll check the mark percentage change, and I'll see which sector is performing high that day. Okay, so it says XBA, right? So let's say what is XBA? Okay, go here. I moved it to the link one. So XBA is biotech. So if you see today, all the biotech stocks would have moved along with this sector unless there is any bad news in biotech. If you look at this, it it had like pre-market, it moved from 89 to 90.5. So if this index is moving, then definitely the biotech stocks are moving. So I would be creating my watch list or the stocks or the options that I'm going to trade for that day based on this watch list. So this is how I would start. Now, what I need to know. So the major indexes that we look at is New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ. Okay, at least me, right? I mean, you might be looking at Russell 2000, 3000 or something like that. So for that, to look at all the New York Stock Exchange stocks, you don't have to really go and add one by one stock. Instead, if you go to the public list of watch lists, Thinkorswim already gives you NYSE. Okay, so if you click on NYSE, it's going to give all the stocks that are listed under NYSE. It will take some time because I had my own custom studies. So if you look at the mark percentage change, right, I'll again sort it based on the mark percentage change. Just give me a second, guys. This might be some penny stocks or something like that. That's why it is giving a start applicable. But if you look at it, right, these are the top performers, right, for today. But these can be warrants or these can be penny stocks, usually which move like 30%, 40% in the pre-market. I will not trade probably all of those. I'll try to look for something that is of my interest, right? So let's say, let's see, like which one, for example, Lemonade, okay? So Lemonade had 11.07% mark change, right? Let's go and check. So what had happened? So Lemonade moved, okay, so much. So, I mean, so currently if you watch, it will be probably showing the market hours movement also, but if you check pre-market, it will show the percentage that stock has moved before the market opens, okay? So I'll pick that stock, and let's say if Lemonade had moved so much, what I would do is I would probably go and purchase or open contracts based on that mark percentage change. Okay, So this is how I typically do market analysis or the stock analysis if I'm picking a stock based on the movement. Okay. So there are other things that you can also look at apart from mark percentage change. You can always look at volume also. So if you look at volumes, right, it will tell you like which stock is being traded the most. Okay, if you look at today, the most traded stock is AMC in NYSE in the New York Stock Exchange, and then NEO. So NEO usually have top volumes daily because the stock price is low. Okay, and similarly Ford. So this is how you can actually pick your stocks pre-market and quickly make money as soon as it opens. Look at the mark percentage and look at the volume and just go with the trend. So there are so many other indicators that I really follow, and I'll pick the stocks. But as you get better, as you learn, as we go further on these trading sessions, I will try to cover all of those. Okay, but for now, I would ask you to do your pre-market analysis based on mark percentage change and the volume. Okay, and always start with the sector. Find the sector first, like which sector is moving, and then drill down to stocks. And on the stock, yeah. So I was talking about the public watch list, right? So you will have like S&P 500 watch list. You have New York Stock Exchange watch list. You might be having Nasdaq 100, like top Nasdaq 100 watch list, Nasdaq components watch list. So and you have many other inbuilt scanners that comes up with think or swim. For example, gap up, right? So gap up means which stocks are gapping up when compared to the previous 5 sessions or 6 sessions. So, so if you see the gap up stocks, it's always the stocks that went up. You will not see anything that went down. So based on this list, you can blindly buy your longs or calls and you can trade. Okay, unless you have some news coming up or if the market is choppy and in regular days, this is something that you can always bank on. So these are the advantages of having Thinkorswim, and also how you can use watch list and how you can do the pre-market analysis. So with that being said, I would like to conclude this session, and I would like to open up questions. So feel free to post any questions you have, and you guys can always join us for the latest updates. So all that you need to do is go to predictingmarket.com and join there, and you will get all the updates with respect to these meetings and also with respect to the presentations that we do. And there are a lot other resources like we have AI-based cheddar flow, and we have some analysts who give free trades, and also we have people who discuss about the hot stocks. And now recently we have introduced a crypto analyst for premium subscribers. So who has around like 85% success rate. So, like crypto can be traded throughout the day. So that's something that we want to leverage for our premium subscribers. So that's about it, guys. And I hope this session is useful and you guys learned a bit or two from this, even if you're an experienced guy. So now I'm opening the channel for questions or feedback or any other discussions that you can take it forward to.
Yeah, Channel, thank you for this session. I just had a question on that Thinkorswim trade. So can you also have all this watch list even if it is a smaller account, or do you have to have a certain balance
No,
to have all these
so,
features?
So on Thinkorswim, you can have a zero balance. You just need to open TD Ameritrade, and even with a zero balance, you can have all these features.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? So I'm going to put where you can join us and follow us to get these training updates and everything. So feel free to join, and you can post me questions there, and you can ask me. And if you have any other doubts, we're always there. All that you need to do is just watch for the space where we post when the next session is and who the analyst is. So thank you guys. Thank you for joining, and we'll try to cover more topics, and we'll try to make you a better trader. See you guys then.